Welcome to another episode of the MMA Lock-Cast. I'm your host, Manpreet, aka MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on Twitter at MMALOTN. This week, we're going to be going over UFC on ESPN 1, which is headlined by Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez. The return of Cain Velasquez. Normally we go into the casuals. This week we're going to be taking it off again. I got a couple things in the work that I'm working with my man Big Rob and possibly somebody else. Who knows what's going on? However, but I can't share the information with you guys yet. I got some cool stuff in the works, and I'm really excited about what's to come. But yeah, we can quickly go over my last event. Just to kick things off. It's just a little weird trying to get used to the casuals and then, going a different route. But here we are. Regardless, we have, so we had UFC 234 on the weekend, this past weekend, supposed to be headlined by Whitaker and Gastelum. However, Whitaker pulled out. We all know the story. We all had our heart broken. We still had a decent card overall. Pay-per-view worthy, maybe not, but regardless, it is what it is, and UFC 234 happened. So I went 1-2 on my bets. A little bit, you know what? I can't be mad at myself because I was so confident in the one lock of the night play that did not hit. So let's just start off with that one, which was Israel Adesanya to win inside the distance. I was convinced, absolutely convinced, that he would show out. You know what I mean? The whole week he was kind of talking about, when Anderson Silva is the one that always trolls, I'm going to troll as well, but I'm going to give him my best, and what am I supposed to do? How else am I supposed to do it any better than putting on a show and almost fucking him up? And a lot of the times he was just standing there watching him, man. I expected Adesanya to be a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, he knows not to be over-aggressive to allow Anderson Silva to capitalize and, have some sort of fluke knockout or anything like that. But I still expected Adesanya to put it on Anderson. There were plenty of opportunities. He just sat around and fucking watched way too much, man. He still, ended up getting the victory. However, I thought that he was going to be able to, put a stamp on it, make this kind of a signature victory. It was a great fight, but he doesn't really have that highlight finish now over Anderson Silva. He has some highlights against Anderson Silva, one of them being a crotch grab dance move or something like that, but it is what it is. That was -5U there. My second play that I missed was my dog of the night play. I originally had two dog of the night plays, one of them being Kelvin Gastelum inside the distance. We obviously know why that one ended up being a push. Regardless, my other play was Ricky Simon inside the distance. 0.5 units for plus 420. I thought there was plenty of value on there, considering Hani Yaya's gas tank. I will admit I was a little impressed with Hani Yaya striking. It's piss poor in a sense that he kind of just throws with reckless abandon. Doesn't give a shit if somebody tries to take him down, so he's able just to throw heaters. And he made a couple dicey situations for Ricky Simón. Regardless, Ricky Simón was able to get the dominant decision victory there. I thought he was going to get that finish in the first round too when he had originally rocked Hani Yaya. Great recovery by Yaya, and very good fight IQ from Ricky Simón as well. He did absolutely nothing to do with Hani Yaya's ground game. Maybe I think there was one of the rounds where he went into the guard with like 45 seconds left or something like that. Maybe not enough for Hani Yaya to pull it off, and Yaya was already pretty gassed. So, big win for Ricky Simón. Unfortunately, the dog of the night play did not hit. And then we had my lock of the night play, which was actually a parlay. I had Kyung Ho Kong. Man, that guy makes you sweat, eh? Fuck. Even in the Guido Canetti fight, which is where I bet him as well, he allowed it to be a little bit dicier than it needed to be. He played around a little bit too much on the feet, kind of paid for it, but then, ended up getting the submission regardless. Same thing in this Ishihara fight. He should not have been swinging that wildly. Anybody with a little bit better power and precision as Ishihara would have put Cain on his butt. So I didn't mind the fact that Cain was on the feet a little bit just to kind of get Teruto to think that this was going to be a bit of a striking match. However, you don't want to make it too dicey when you have such a significant grappling advantage over somebody else, and then he was able to get the submission pretty quickly as well. So big win for Cain. Big shout out to Teruto Ishihara for even taking that fight, especially after coming off of so many losses. And then my second leg of my Lock of the Night parlay that hit was Montana De La Rosa against Nadia Kassem. She did exactly what she needed to as quickly and as best as she could. She ended up getting that submission. Great for her. I'm kicking myself for not betting the Cain submission and Montana De La Rosa submission props. I had tipped it to a couple people and told them, like, if you're looking for, a specific prop play to put your money on, this would be the one. I have no fucking idea why I didn't make it an official bet. But I was, really bummed. My whole thing was the fact that I don't like double dipping on fights. Double dipping on fights in terms of, betting on it more than once, or betting on a certain fight more than once. So in this case, I played the parlay, but I really thought I could get some value on a Cain by sub, which was about plus 220 last time I remember, and then a De La Rosa by sub, which was around plus 160 or so. So that's something that I'm going to have to reconsider moving forward. If it's a bet that I have a play on, if I do feel like there's another comfortable play I can make on that fight, I got to pull the trigger. But obviously, still got to stay disciplined to a certain extent, because if one thing goes wrong in that fight, you lose 2 bets, and I don't want that. So. So that was UFC 234. Minus 1.75 units, unfortunately. After a great UFC Fortaleza, I come back with an L. It's such a piss off. It's a minimal loss, but we're right back into the thick of things with UFC on ESPN 1, which is next, which is this weekend. Or sorry, it's on Sunday. So for all of you watching who like to watch it live, make sure you remember that it's on Sunday night. Main card starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. Not your normal Saturday 10 p.m. slot or 8 p.m. slot. So Sunday night for this card. Headlined by the return of Cain Velasquez. I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm not going to make a bet on this. If there's a certain prop, I may poke it, like a 0.5 unit stab, depending on what the prop is. However, I can't confidently bet on either guy. As a Lock of the Night play, or anything even over 1 unit, to be honest. Cain Velasquez, we know his trials and tribulations over the past several years, and then Francis Ngannou, we kind of know his story as well, kind of on the comeback. But great main event in terms of very intriguing. We kind of don't really know what's going to happen, what kind of Cain we're going to get. And then also the rest of the card, we got Myles jury, we got Paul Felder against James Vick, great fight. Jimmie Rivera against Aljamain Sterling, amazing fight. Return of Alexandra Albu, a lot of people are kind of thinking she's kind of flying under the radar, but I'm really excited for her. Scott Holtzman's been looking really good. It's his return as well. Vicente Luque against Bryan Barberena, Cynthia Calvillo, somebody who can make a splash in her respective division. Some great fights all around. But let's kick things off with the first fight of the night. There's no point in waiting around. This is what the fuck we're here for, right? All right, so let's go. Alexandra Albu against Emily Whitmire. The odds currently sit at, this is all according to Bookmaker, on Monday of fight week. Minus 175 Alexandra Albu, plus 140 Emily Whitmire. So I'm really excited for this fight simply because it's the return of Alexandra Albu. She's only 3-0 currently. She has only fought since her pro debut back in 2013. She's only fought 3 times. She fought in 2013, took 2 years off. Fought in 2015, took 2 years off. Fought in 2017, took another 2 years off, and here she is, or close to 2 years off. I'd say more closer to 1.5 years off. And here she is now fighting Emily Whitmire on UFC ESPN. So I've been kind of impressed with Alexandra Albu, with the exceptions of certain things. In her fight against Kailin Curran, one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen in a fight, where she looked like she was doing very, like I'm talking about the first round, the first couple minutes, looked decent on the feet, throwing heavy shots, landing on Kailin Curran. They get into like a kind of a quick clinch situation where she has both overhooks, and she just pulls guard. A couple 30 or 45 seconds later, she ended up trying to go for like a heel hook or a knee bar type of thing. I don't know if that's what she was fishing for right off the bat, but to pull guard at this level, unless you're Damian Maia, unless you're Hani Yahya, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the way to go. And Kailin Curran, say what you want about her, but her ground game is decent. It's okay. And against somebody who's relatively green in her pro MMA career, I don't know if pulling guard is something that Alexandra Albu wants to continue to do. So against Emily Whitmire here, or Whitmire, I keep calling her Whitmore. I live by a street that's called Whitmore, and every time I pass it, I think of fucking Emily, but it just makes me automatically assume that her name is Emily Whitmore. Regardless, Emily Whitmore, I did it again. Emily Whitmire has a win over Jamie Moyle in her last fight. She was on that season of The Ultimate Fighter where they were crowning a new champion for the 125 division. Since coming off that show, she's lost to Jillian Robertson by armbar. Kind of a sloppy armbar in my opinion too. I was surprised that Emily Whitmire was able to, to find herself in that armbar. And then she loses a decision to she beats Jamie Moyle, who probably isn't the best out there anyway. So I think in this fight, Whitmire shows some decent striking, but she doesn't pack plenty or much power behind her shots, in my opinion. Alexandra Albu has a really bad habit of keeping her chin up, even though she swings with heat. However, I don't know if Emily Whitmire is going to be able to produce much of a punch or land a clean of a shot to put Alexandra Albu on her butt. Albu's a very strong girl. You can just see it in her physique. I think if she wanted to just grind on Whitmire, she might be able to do that. I think she holds a bit of a size advantage as well. So with Alexandra Albu, she's green, makes some questionable decisions, and has a little bit of bad striking mechanic, even though she swings with a lot of power. Emily Whitmire could steal this fight. At plus 140, I don't know if that's a price that I would consider betting her on. Maybe somewhere closer to plus 175, plus 180. I'm not sure if the line's going to get to that at this point. But Emily Whitmire could outvolume her as well. I don't know why I'm just slipping up all my words today. Anyway, Whitmire could out-activity her, could outpoint her, and Alexandra Albu has shown a bit of a deficiency in the third round in terms of gas tank. So, this could easily be a split decision. I could see it going either way. Unless Alexandra Albu really just enforces her power, maybe get some takedowns, or just push Whitmire up against the cage, I just can't trust her enough to do that at this point. So I'd say it's a dog or pass situation. I'd monitor where Emily Whitmire goes in terms of her odds, but I'm gonna pick Alexandra Albu to win like the first round and a half, and win enough in the second round to pull away with the decision. But I could highly see there's a high likelihood that Emily Whitmire could take this to a split decision and maybe just outpoint her in the last two rounds. So I know somebody's bagging on me recently for not making any dog plays or dog picks on my prediction videos, and I'm still not going to make a dog pick in this situation. But if you are looking for a dog for like DraftKings or if just a small play, I wouldn't be mad at an Emily Whitmire play. So official pick's going to be Alexandra Albu by decision, but probably wouldn't bet on it, and maybe would bet on Emily Whitmire if she hits a certain number. Next up, we got Luke Sanders against Renan Barao. So another fight. Oh, let's say this one is actually lined at, where's the odds? Minus 185 for Luke Sanders and plus 150 for Renan Barao. I gotta say, I haven't been very impressed with Luke Sanders as of late. He's going up against a very broken and different Renan Barao from 5 years ago, per se. You know, Luke Sanders has losses to Yuri Alcantara via knee bar, heel hook within a minute 30 by Hanayaya, and knocked out by Andre Sukumtana in the second round. In his last 4 fights, he's only managed to get a decision victory over a Patrick Williams who just had piss poor, absolute dog shit gas. Very surprised that Luke Sanders wasn't able to finish that fight. In this Renan Barao fight, you know, I think that Renan Barao could be a problem in the first round. He might be able to land big shots and maybe put Luke Sanders away. But after round 1, Renan Barao just looks like a complete ghost of himself. You know, it's tough to trust either guy, in my opinion. I would probably go with Luke Sanders here to be able to withstand that first round and maybe just, you know, edge out the last 2. Just because Barao just looks so bad in the second 2 rounds. You know, his loss to Andre Ewell, very, you know, very unfortunate. Like, very, very unfortunate considering like the way we used to talk about Renan Barao back in like 13 and 12. He's a far stretch from there now. So I'm going to pick Luke Sanders, but I just don't trust him at minus 185. I wouldn't even trust Renan Barao anything worse than, you know, or anything worse than plus 200 at this point, actually. You know, I'm just going to put it that high. This is a pass fight for me. I just don't know which way it's going to go, but those are the 2 outcomes that I've explained before that I could see from this fight. Next up, we got Jessica Penne against Jodie Esquibel. So it seems like Jessica Penne hasn't been fighting often either, just like Alexandra Albu. But quickly, fight odds currently sit at minus 162 Jessica Penne and plus 133 for Jodie Esquibel. I think this fight could be lined slightly closer. With Jessica Penne, you're getting a girl who really likes the submission game, in my opinion. I think she thrives the most on the floor, you know, in her jiu-jitsu range. And she kind of got outstruck by Danielle Taylor in her last fight. You know, it's kind of embarrassing almost. Like, you know, the shorter fighter was able to, you know, close the distance and land good shots. Jodie Esquibel has some great boxing. You know, I think that if she's able to keep this fight on the feet, she could make it very interesting, and she could, you know, probably piece up Jessica Penne on the feet. She's going to have to find a way to deal with the leg kicks and kind of, you know, the way that Jessica Penne likes to try to keep the distance. But if Danielle Taylor is able to get on the inside and land some shots on her, I think Jodie Esquibel could have some success as well. Plus 133 though, I would need maybe at least plus 150 to consider a bet on Jodie Esquibel here. I think that she has a good get-up game. I think she has decent enough takedown defense to, you know, keep the fight on the feet. And she's strong enough too, I think, to be able to handle Jessica Penne in the clinch if it were to get there. But yeah, I need at least plus 150 to consider Jodie Esquibel, so I would consider eyeing that line throughout the week and seeing where it goes. You know, Jessica Penne's inactivity and her 3-fight skid right now is just kind of, it's got to be demoralizing. You know, that first lot, or well, you know, she's had some pretty tough competition as well. She lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk back in 2015. She lost to Jessica Andrade in 2016, pretty much a year to the date after. And then Danielle Taylor, she lost to her in, damn, that's a long time ago, April 22nd of 2017. So she's almost had a 2-year layoff at this point. So we don't really know what kind of Jessica Penne we're going to see here. I don't know if it's worth taking a shot at her at minus 162. Again, probably another dog or pass situation. I'm going to pick Jodie Esquibel. I think that she points her on the feet. But in terms of betting her, I'd wait until we get a better line, which we could possibly get. So official pick's going to be Jodie Esquibel by decision. Next fight, we got Scott Holtzman against Nick Lentz. So this is actually one of my possible lock of the night plays. I have 2 possible lock of the night plays that I'm considering. I'll let you guys in on them now, and then I'm going to wait and see where those lines go and possibly bet them later this week. Maybe one or both of them. So this first one is Scott Holtzman. I'm considering betting him straight. He's minus 185 currently. I think we could possibly get a better line, so I'm going to wait a little bit. Let's see on my other websites though how he is lined. So on Bookmaker he's -185, -172 at Sportbet, not bad. -200 at William Hill, too high. -176 at Pinnacle. So I'm going to keep an eye on that line. -170 I wouldn't even be mad at, to be honest. I just think here that Scott Holtzman is the stronger, faster, more better striker, just as good grappling, if not better, especially considering where they're at right now in their careers. I think that Scott Holtzman is going to be able to overpower Nick Lentz. I think he's going to be able to keep it on the feet and possibly make it interesting and stop Nick Lentz on the feet. Or he can even take Nick Lentz down and kind of deal with him there. The only thing he needs to be careful of, we've seen in a couple of Nick Lentz's fights, is Nick Lentz's guillotine. You know, he does a really good job of clamping around the neck if somebody's lazy with their takedowns. He showed it against Will Brooks. I think that Scott Holtzman is just, is well enough into his career now to, be more cautious of those types of flaws and those types of mistakes. So I think that Scott Holtzman definitely has the edge here. I'm going to wait and see where the line goes. He did a really good job against Alan Patrick as well. Alan Patrick likes to really take guys down and tries to control them there and, grinds guys out. But, Holtzman was able to keep it on the feet, landed a lot of big shots on Alan Patrick. I think he's going to be quick enough to, a good barometer in terms of Nick Lentz against somebody that's kind of like Scott Holtzman was the Will Brooks fight. I think that Holtzman is just as quick as Will Brooks. I think he's going to be able to piece up Nick Lentz on the feet just like Will Brooks did. But I don't think that he'll make that momentary lapse in judgment and go for a sloppy takedown and get guillotined. So I think that he holds some value at around -170, even -175. So he will probably be my lock of the night play, barring any crazy line movements or anything like that. And I think he, moves up to 4-0 in his last 4. I think he's gonna be ranked. He might be in the top 15 or so by the end of the year. He could be in the 10 to 15 range. I think he's that good. It's just a matter of time before he comes into his own. And I think this is kind of the path that we're on right now. With Scott Holtzman. So I'm going to take Scott Holtzman by... He's not known too much as a finisher, but that finish against Alan Patrick was crazy. So, I'm going to take Scott Holtzman by decision. I will give it to Nick Lentz. He's really tough. Most of his losses have been by decision besides getting choked out by Charles Oliveira. So I'm going to take Holtzman by decision here. I think he just controls every aspect of the fight. And yeah, I got Scott Holtzman. I am going to look a little bit deeper into that fight. There may be certain things I might be overlooking, but everything that I've seen to date, at least that I can remember, Scott Holtzman should comfortably win this fight. Next fight, Ashlee Evans-Smith against Andrea KGB Lee. So with Ashlee Evans-Smith, we're getting a girl that's really likes her grappling. She's really good at kind of like just grinding and just kind of pushing on these girls. She had a good showing in a fight against Beck Rollins. Did what she needed to get that victory. But in this fight against Andrea KGB Lee, I think she's justifiably the underdog. The odds currently sit at -200 for Andrea Lee, +158 for Ashlee Evans-Smith. I think Andrea Lee has decent enough MMA wrestling to keep this fight on the feet, and I think she has a significant advantage with her hands and in the striking range over Ashlee Evans-Smith, that I think that as long as she can keep this on the feet, she might be able to finish Ashlee Evans-Smith. I think she's pretty good. I think she has great kicks. I think she does well in the striking range, and her advantage over Ashlee Evans-Smith here on the feet might be the difference maker here. I think that she is going to be able to stuff any type of takedowns that Ashlee Evans-Smith throws her way. I have to look a little bit deeper into the fight, just if the line gets closer to, because it is getting better, I might consider Andrea Lee. I'm not going to lie. But I do need to look into the fight a little bit more. But just on first thought, I definitely lean KGB Lee here. But I wouldn't, put at Ashlee Smith anything worse than plus 175. So the value might be there. Currently, I'm not going to be betting Andrea Lee at minus 200. But I will watch where that line goes, and I think that she's going to be a problem for Ashlee Evans-Smith. But I am going to take Andrea Lee by, I said finish. Yeah, I'm going to say finish. I'm going to say TKO. She ends up TKOing Ashlee Evans-Smith, maybe on the feet or something like that. Next fight is a fight that I can't really get a good enough read on, in my opinion. I don't think that there's enough tape out there for Manny Bermudez to make an educated guess, or not even an educated guess, but like an educated stab on why he should be, minus 240 right now. I think the line is going to close, which is what it has been doing over the last little bit, But Manny Bermudez, we're getting a really good jiu-jitsu specialist here. He wants to get the fight to the ground. I think that he does. He does his best work there, but he still has some room to grow in terms of his striking. It's obvious he wants to get this fight to the ground ASAP. I think Benito Lopez is going to pose some problems for him because he does have the better striking. He does tend to get a little wild at times, however, but unless Manny Bermudez can push him up against the cage and drag him down, Benito might be able to have some success on the feet. It's hard for me to believe that Benito, It's been a long fucking day, guys. I apologize. Anyway, with Benito Lopez, it's hard for me to believe that he's going to be able to keep this on the feet for 3 rounds. I think that Bermudez is eventually going to find the way to get this fight to the ground, and I think he's going to be able to tap Benito. But I just don't think the minus 240 line is justifiable for Manny Bermudez. There are question marks with the striking, but I think that his advantage on the ground is just going to be that much better and more. That this might be another Alexei Oleinik and Mark Hunt type of thing. He's going to find a way to get this fight to the ground, and Benito Lopez is going to pay. So I'm not overly impressed with Benito Lopez with what I've seen. Maybe it's just he just likes a war a little bit too much. He's finding ways to win. He's 9-0. Can't argue that. But I just really like Manny Bermudez here, just not at the odds. So I'm going to say Manny Bermudez by submission. I think he continues his submission streak, which is currently at 4. He has 4 straight triangle chokes, 3 of them in the first round, 1 of them in the second round. So clearly he likes the triangle choke, and we might get a 5th one here. So it would be a big win for Manny Bermudez, and I can't wait to continue to see him progress. Next up, we got a great fight, which should probably be the co-main event. I don't know why it's not, but we're getting Jimmie Rivera against Aljamain Sterling. Great fight here. Odds currently sit at -1. Ooh, minus 160. Jimmie Rivera. Ooh. It's not bad. I do need to look into this fight a little bit more. We kind of already know what we're getting with both guys. Jimmie Rivera, very strong guy, good wrestling, great striking, does enough on the feet to win these fights. He came back from that 33-second loss from Marlon Moraes to beat John Dodson in a decision. The one thing in that fight a lot of people were skeptical about was Jimmie Rivera's chin, and if he was able to recover within 3 months after getting knocked out. And he did. He did what he needed to do to win that fight. He's known for taking these fights to decisions and just eking them out. I think this is another fight where he's going to be able to decision Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has been able to show good enough grappling and strength in his last couple fights to get these victories over Brett Johnson and Cody Stamann. But I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the power striking of Jimmie Rivera and those blitzes that Rivera likes to do, and the explosiveness and power he's able to generate is just ridiculous. With Aljamain Sterling, he's not going to be able to get Jimmie Rivera down, and I don't know if his flashy shit's going to fly against Jimmie Rivera. I'm very close to considering a bet on Jimmie Rivera, but I want to see where this line continues to go. It's a lot of money's coming on Aljamain Sterling in the last little while, so maybe the line is going to continue to go that way. But I was thinking of passing on this fight because the odds were so wide, but now that it's closing a little bit, I really like Jimmie Rivera in this spot. He just does enough to win every time, and I think he's going to be able to give Aljamain some trouble on the feet here. Aljamain likes to throw flashy shit, and he isn't usually the most technical guy on the feet. I think he does his best work on the ground as well. But what's he going to do when he can't get a guy like Jimmie Rivera down? That's where it's going to be interesting. So I got to go with Jimmie Rivera here. I think he's going to get a decision. I think he's going to piece up Aljamain Sterling on the feet. He's going to put the pressure on Aljo. I don't think Aljo is going to be comfortable enough on the feet to pull off some of his crazy shit and land something big enough. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see Jimmie Rivera knock him out. I think Aljo's chin has been tested. I think that Jimmie Rivera packs enough power to put Aljo out. But I'm going to go the safe route and go with Jimmie Rivera by decision here. Yeah, man, I really think that this is a fight that Jimmie Rivera wins and improve to 23-2. So yeah, pretty simple. I think Jimmie Rivera's pressure and takedown defense is going to be his key to victory here. So Jimmie Rivera by decision. Next fight, Andre Fili against Myles Jury. Fight currently lined at -165 Myles Jury, +133 Andre Fili. I think that so Myles Jury is another guy that I was kind of leaning towards as my lock of the night play once this fight was announced. But there's been a lot of people that are confident in Andre Fili, and the line is currently showing that as well. He has decent wrestling. He's pretty good on the feet. He kind of had a clinic against Hakran Diaz a couple fights ago, but he's kind of going on hard times a little bit. He's in his last 4 fights, he's 2-2. Lost to Calvin Kattar, beat Artem Lobov, beat Dennis Bermudez in a split decision, and then lost a split decision to Michael Johnson, which is what he was the favorite in that fight too, if you guys remember. But in this fight against Myles Jury, I think he's just fighting a guy who's just a notch better than him in every situation. I think that Myles Jury has the advantage on the ground here. I think his length and striking, more technical striking, I should say, is going to give Andre Fili some problems. I'm going with Myles Jury here by decision. I think that he controls every aspect of this fight. I think that he's going to be able to have some success on the ground with some takedowns. I think he will go for takedowns against Andre Fili and just kind of grind on him. I think that he just pulls out a decision here and kind of, I think Myles Jury has just been really, underrated by a lot of people. He got knocked out by Chad Mendes in his last fight, but, that's Chad Mendes. Andre Fili is no Chad Mendes. He had a very good decision victory over Rick Len, and then grounded Mike De La Torre in his fight before that. And that was before he took about a 1.5 year layoff after he lost to Charles Oliveira. So it's good to see him kind of a little bit more active now. Fought in April of 2017, then fought in December of 2017, and then fought in July. So he's been off almost a half a year now, and he comes back to fight Andre Fili. Yeah, it's hard. I'm not too big on Andre Fili. I will look into this fight a little bit more. But with things that I'm a little bit more confident in, I probably won't bet on this fight. But I would pass on Andre Fili if you're thinking about dog or pass situation here. So let's say Myles Fury Jury by decision. All right. So I told you guys about one of my lock of the night plays, possibly two now since the Jimmie Rivera fight, those odds are coming closer a little now. This is the third lock of the night play that I'm considering, and it's a parlay. So I'm thinking of parlaying Vicente Luque with somebody later on in the card. But let's go over that fight right now. Vicente Luque, looking like a killer as of late. Destroyed Jalen Turner in his last fight. One of the more brutal knockouts you'll see in the last year or so. And then before that, knocked out Chad Laprise. And then before that, darts choked Nico Price. I think he's the better technical striker here against Bryan Barberena. Bryan Barberena is more of like a grinder. He's always finding gritty and, unconventional ways to win, I should say. He steamrolled Jake Ellenberger in his last fight, but he got, outpointed and outstruck by a better striker in Leon Edwards in the fight before that. I'm surprised he had a fight against Joe Proctor in 2017. I completely forgot Proctor was even in the UFC past 2015 or so. He lost a decision to Colby Covington. His biggest win today is probably over Wally Alves. He decisioned him in a grinding fight. I think here, the only difference that Vicente Luque has over the guys that Bryan Barberena has been beating in the past 3 or so years is just a better technical and more powerful striking. He has a decent ground game as well, but I think that Vicente Luque is going to keep this fight on the feet, and I think he's going to completely piece up Bryan Barberena. I think he is rightfully the heavy favorite. I wouldn't bet him straight, but I would throw him into a parlay with somebody else I'm very confident in who has a little bit of heavy odds as well. So I think that Vicente Luque wins this in the second round. Barberena is he's a very tough guy. He's a tough out. He hasn't been finished, as it seems, but I think that Luque will put on enough damage to finish Bryan Barberena and continue his finishing streak. I'm going to say in the second round. He pieces him up in the first, shocks a couple takedowns, and then eventually puts on a little bit more of a beaten down Bryan Barberena in the second round. So Vicente Luque, second round KO. Wouldn't even be surprised to kind of see like a knockdown / submission type finish from Vicente Luque here. Pretty simple and straightforward there. I can't beg on anybody for even betting Bryan Barberena plus 300 or more. He is a gritty guy, but I think Luque just has his number in this situation. Next up, we got Alex Caceres against Kron Gracie. Alex Caceres has a very up and down UFC record. He goes back to all the way at UFC or the Ultimate Fighter Season 12, St. Pierre against Koscheck. I still remember that shit. Just looking back all the way from his Uriah Faber fight into July 2014, he's gone 4-6 in his last 10 fights. He just beat Martin Bravo by split decision back in July. We get an unorthodox Alex Caceres, decent ground game. Sub Sergio Pettis way back in the day. He just does nothing super impressive. I think that Kron Gracie here is going to be the guy that gets the victory. I think that he's going to be able to get Alex Caceres down, who has decent takedown defense. And I think that he gets the tap probably in the first round. We haven't seen too much of Kron Gracie, only 4 fights, and he's been able to finish every fight with a submission. Alex Caceres is a decent test for him, but, to be able to get a rear naked choke victory over Tatsuya Kawajiri in your fucking 4th ever MMA fight, that's big, man. Even Hideo Tokoro is a very good fighter, but Tatsuya Kawajiri, say what you want about him and where he was in 2016, but I don't think Alex Caceres is in any of a better place than Tatsuya Kawajiri was back in 2016. So I think that Kron Gracie is going to be able to do what he needs to get this fight onto the ground and get the sub probably in the first or second round. Simple as that. Would I bet about minus 350 though? No. I'd wait for those odds to get a little bit closer because I think there will be money that Alex Caceres comes in on. But I think at minus 250, it might warrant a bet on Kron Gracie. But anything worse than minus 250, I wouldn't even consider, even in a parlay, to be honest. Just saying. Next fight. Co-main event. Third last fight. Jeez. I'm getting ahead of myself. Cynthia Calvillo against Courtney Casey. I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Courtney Casey or Cynthia Calvillo. Goddamn, Calvillo's odds are getting crazy too. Calvillo is actually the second leg of the Lock of the Night parlay I was considering. She's currently sitting at minus 274. I might have to lock up this parlay ASAP before the odds get worse. Let's see what a sport bet parlay with Calvillo and Luque look like. Minus 130, not bad. So, getting back to the fight, Cynthia Calvillo, I think she's going to have the grappling advantage here. You know, she has good takedowns. She's able to control the fight when he hits the mat. She's just amazing in scrambles, you know. She's showing improvements on the feet as well. That Carla Esparza fight was a little weird, but she came back in her next fight against Poliana Botello, was able to get the first round RNC. Courtney Casey kind of shoots herself in the foot in most of her fights. You know, she squeezed out a split decision victory over Angela Hill in her last fight to avoid going 500 with 7-7 record, but now she sits at 8-6. But she again, like I said, she shoots herself in the foot. She pulls guard a lot. I think that she's going to be in trouble here if she decides to go to the ground with Cynthia Calvillo. I'm not trying to downplay Courtney Casey's ground game because I think she has a decent ground game. But Cynthia Calvillo, man, she's just a fucking beast, man. She's a monster. She's quicker. You know, her back takes are amazing. Her grappling transitions are just next level, and I think that she's going to give Courtney Casey some problems here. I think that she might be able to tap Courtney Casey as well. But just going the safe route, I'm going to say Cynthia Calvillo by decision. I think she warrants being a heavy favorite here. I wouldn't play her straight, though, but that Lock of the Night parlay is looking better and better, and I might have to hit that ASAP because I think both odds might get worse. I could see somebody coming in on Bryan Barao to get Luque's odds slightly better, but I'm going to be probably on the safer side and just book that parlay ASAP. But yeah, that would be my that would be my Lock of the Night parlay. My energy level is just draining heavy, guys. It's just been a long fucking day. Regardless, I'm looking at Cynthia Calvillo and Vicente Luque, and Cynthia Calvillo to win by decision here over Courtney Casey. I just can't. I can't suggest a Courtney Casey bet ever. So even if she's like plus 300 or so, I just can't. All right, now we go. Co-main event. We got James Vick against Paul Felder. James Vick coming off a very, very embarrassing loss to Justin Gaethje after all the shit that he talked. A minute and a half is all it took Justin Gaethje to make James Vick look like one of those inflatable tube men. You know, those crazy ones. One of my favorite knockouts. It's just the way he dropped is probably one of the funniest knockdown collapses in UFC history. But before that fight, you know, he was on a 4-fight winning streak, beat Trinaldo, Joe Duffy, Polo Reyes, and Abel Trujillo in that run. But now he comes up against kind of a little bit more of an interesting matchup with Paul Felder. You know, one thing James Vick has always been known for is this crazy, ridiculous size. He's always dwarfing guys. Standing at 75 inches. Why the fuck did they not have that converted? Regardless, he's probably like 6'1" or some shit. 76-inch reach, whereas Paul Felder is only going to have a 70-inch reach, so there's a 6-inch reach advantage there. Paul Felder, very unfortunate in his last fight against Mike Perry, broke his arm. I think it was in the first or second round. Still lost a split decision. Very, very surprising there. But now he's back. Got his surgery. He's good to go. And I think he can pose some problems for James Vick here. I think he'll have success closing the distance. I think he'll have success landing the big shots. And who knows how much James Vick has been able to recover since getting knocked out by Justin Gaethje as well. That was a pretty bad knockout, man. I think Paul Felder can put it on him as well. And the odds currently are pretty much a dead pick'em with at bookmaker Paul Felder a slight favorite at -120, -110. Very, very close fight. I gotta side with Paul Felder here. He's the more strict or crisp and cleaner striker, the more technical striker here as well. James Vick, he does good with his range and his height and all that, but I think that if Paul Felder is able to land on the chin, he might be able to make it interesting and probably get the win here. But I could see some money coming in on James Vick, for sure. But I think that Paul Felder is going to be able to be the one to pull it out here. I'm going to take him by decision. I think he works James Vick's front leg. I think he tries to immobilize James Vick and then go to the head. And he's just that good of a striker, you know. I mean, Paul Felder is very underrated. He's had some unfortunate losses, but, you know, that destruction of Charles Oliveira, the destruction of Stevie Ray, you know, I got to go with Paul Felder here. Plain and simple. I don't know how James Vick is going to be able to deal with the technical striking of Paul Felder here. So Paul Felder, by decision. Co-main or main event time. Fuck. Main event time. How many horns are we going to get? How many horns would you guys give this one? You know, we go on a 1 to 5 scale. Four horns. Can't give it the 5. You know, Conor Khabib is 5. Trying to remember some other main events that I've given 5 horns to, but Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou gives me 4 horns. Strictly because, you know, I'm super excited to see Cain Velasquez back. Don't get me wrong, but after so many injuries, such a lack of activity from Cain Velasquez, this is a very tough fight for him to come back to. And if he doesn't look anything near his great self, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. So since 2013, he beat Junior Dos Santos at UFC 166, then fought Fabricio Verdum in 2015, June of 2015, then took a year off, fought Travis Browne in July of 2016, and now 2.5 years later, he's back to fight Francis Ngannou. So Cain Velasquez currently sits at, how old is he? 82. He's 36. You know, in heavyweight years, that's probably 28. But against a strong, heavy puncher like Francis Ngannou, Cain Velasquez can't afford any slip-ups in that first round. I think he has the capability still to get Francis Ngannou down. There's no way that Francis Ngannou has built up enough takedown defense to stop a guy who's as decorated as Cain Velasquez and as technical as Cain Velasquez with the wrestling. And we weren't able to see much of Francis Ngannou's takedown defense at the Curtis Blades fight. You know, there's that one kind of faint takedown that Curtis Blades went for, but, you know, there wasn't much behind it, so it wasn't, you know, we couldn't really tell. But I think that, you know, Francis has got to be working that takedown defense, and he's got to be working, you know, kind of an uppercut, like a knee jerk, or just working on the reflex of an uppercut as a counter to any type of shot that Cain Velasquez might be taking. And that uppercut might be all he fucking needs against Cain Velasquez. We don't know what kind of chin to trust from Cain Velasquez. You know, the last time somebody landed clean on him, with like Junior Dos Santos did, you know, he kind of went night-night. You know, the Travis Browne fight with Cain Velasquez, you know, he looked good on his feet, very active, very mobile, landed some crazy kicks. But are we still going to get that 2.5 years later after a fuck ton of more surgeries? You know, we don't know. It's going to be tough to trust Cain Velasquez. So he's currently sitting at minus 205 at Bookmaker. I don't know, man. He'd have to be at least minus 150, minus 130 for me to consider Cain Velasquez. It's too many question marks, and even with Francis Ngannou, like it's not certain that he's going to be able to land that big punch to get Cain down. Maybe Cain comes back and is able to take Ngannou down within the first 30 seconds. It's going to be a rough night from Francis Ngannou there. Maybe Cain Velasquez gets some sort of ground and pound or submission finish there. I just don't know which way to go. Like, there's just too many X factors in this fight. I'm going to go with Cain Velasquez, you know, doing enough to avoid the power shots on the feet by Francis Ngannou and get the takedown and get a finish maybe in the second or third round. But I wouldn't put my money on him. Not in a parlay, nothing. I would stay away from this fight, to be honest. I'd consider the fight doesn't go to decision, but the last time I saw that it was minus 750, so that's a no-go. But I think that Cain Velasquez gets the second round TKO, ground and pound, over Francis Ngannou. But I hope I have some more to talk about with this fight next week, because I do want to touch on it. I want to see what kind of Cain we get and how this fight actually plays out. But it's so hard for me to give you guys like a legitimate breakdown due to the inactivity and the many question marks surrounding Cain Velasquez and the time that he's had off, and on top of all the surgeries he's had. So if I was even a degenerate when it comes to gambling, which I am at certain times, this is a fight that you stay away from. Unless Francis Ngannou hits like plus 200 or something, I would take a small stab at Francis Ngannou, but I would stay away from this fight in any and every other case. But I'm going to take Cain Velasquez by TKO second round. Boom. So that's UFC on ESPN, headlined by Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez. It goes down again February 17th, which is a Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, is the main card start. So don't fucking, be up on Saturday night expecting for these fights to come on, because they are not coming out on Saturday night. Lock Fight League. Registration closes tonight, but you guys are not, it's not going to matter for you guys because the registration is already closed. This is probably Tuesday or Wednesday that this podcast is going to come out. But Wednesday we're going to have the first ever event for Season 5. Super fucking excited. It's going to be great. We're already at 9 entrants, which is the most we've ever had in one season. Tape Index fucking killing it as well, getting a lot of recognition and a lot of people thanking us for it, and I love it. There's nothing more than I love than to help the community themselves. We're doing anything in our power to make it easier for you guys to make your own our conclusions and come up with your own analysis by making it that easy for you guys and saving you guys time with the Tape Index. Next week we're going to be going over UFC Prague, I believe it is. Yes, UFC Prague, headlined by Jan Blachowicz. And Thiago Santos. Should be a banger of a fight. Really looking forward to that one. I think there's another really big fight on there. Peter Yan against John Dodson should be a great freaking fight too. I'm really looking forward to that. But just stay tuned for my Lock of the Night plays. It might already be posted by the time this podcast comes out. But just check my Twitter at MMA LOTN. Check out the website. Again, a little bit bare bones still, but I'm still doing things to add some content and make it a little bit more viewable. But www.mmalotn.ca. That's about it. And I can't wait to share with you guys fucking what I'm working on. It's going to be great. Going to be a lot of fun. And more content come from you guys too. So that's it. I'm out. Peace. Later.